We're talking firearms today as we do on Friday mornings, and thank you for joining us. And do want to point out we have in studio as well Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense.
It's good to be here.
You finally got the driveway fixed.
No,
Yes.
no cars can come see me. You got to have a four-wheel drive vehicle, and if you get stuck, you got to have a number to text me. So,
We're gonna talk a little bit about Patriot Defense a little bit later, but it probably some of the legal issues that you when you train people uh, that we deal with will dovetail with what we're talking about at least off the beginning of the show today. And we wanted to mention as well, we're speaking with State Representative Christy Zitto. She's joining us. She has a legislative meeting coming up in just a few minutes, so she may have to run from her office in Boise at the state capitol. But we'd like to say welcome back to the program.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Bill. It's good to visit with you.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in about a month and a half or so, right?
Right. It's been a while, and we need to do this more often. It's good to visit with you. It's good to let people know on the outside of this wall what happens on the inside.
And we should note too as well that you represent Owyhee County and a large chunk, or most of your home county of Elmore County, but also a big portion of Twin Falls County as well.
That's correct.
Now, the Castle Doctrine bill, a lot of people out there hear these words, and I understand that Florida and some other states have had these laws on the books for many, many years. What essentially, I think Todd has told me in the past, we have somewhat of a hybrid type of situation here in Idaho, right?
right, yeah. According to what I understand and what I've been told, and what I teach, is in Idaho. I don't know if there's probably a legal name for it. What it is if you can legally be somewhere, you can legally defend yourself and others at that point. So, I mean, that's the way that's what I teach. That's what I understand. That's what law enforcement tells me. Now, I kind of read this bill, or kind of read some articles on it, and correct me if I'm wrong. So right now, if someone were to kick open my door to my residence at 2 o'clock in the morning, and if I deemed them a threat to me and my family, I could defend myself. Which, if someone does kick open my door at 2 o'clock in the morning and they're uninvited, obviously, I do consider them a threat. But I have to be able to relay that to law enforcement when they show up. According to this bill, that would kind of take that away. That if someone entered my property, kicked open a door, a window, came on into my house uninvited, they would automatically be deemed a threat, and I wouldn't have to explain myself. And is that kind of where we're headed here?
That's pretty close, yes. What it exactly does is it will move the presumption of innocence from the criminal who
Oh,
kicked your door in
okay.
to you, the homeowner.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I go into this with an open mind. I want to read it. At first, I was like, well, I don't know, because we got it pretty good now. But after you answered that question, I did a little research on it. It sounds like a pretty good deal, a pretty good bill, a good idea, actually.
Well,
Well, and
Representative,
one of the things, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
One of the other things that I like about this legislation, this proposed legislation, is it also extends that protection to your vehicle and your place of business. When I had to defend my daughter with my weapon, luckily I didn't have to pull the trigger. I was in my truck going down the freeway and I was run off the road. So this legislation will also extend that to your vehicle so that, that presumption of innocence would be on the perpetrator, not on the person who's defending.
Okay, perfect.
Are there any, so far that you've heard from colleagues and the like, any legal objections that many of them have?
Well, I've had people look at it, different legislators have looked at it, and everyone that we've shown it to, some just say, oh, it's really good. I can't see any problems with it. There are always those who have a couple of questions. Like this morning in, it would be Section 3 is what I'll call it. There's wording. It says a person who is not knowingly engaged in unlawful activity. And someone asked me about that this morning, but what that will do is, let's say that you're a drug kingpin and you're mad at one of your dealers. That language would make it so that he can't drag one of his dealers into his house, do away with them, and then claim self-defense because he's knowingly committing a crime. He's knowingly a drug dealer. He's knowingly engaged in that activity. So what that does is it clears it up so that people who are obeying the law, people who are defending their families, defending their homes, the presumption of innocence belongs to that homeowner and to that family member or friend or whatever who's defending someone that's that's in their home or business or car.
I assume this is going to change, Todd, the way you perhaps approach training.
Yeah, it will. It will. If this goes through, a lot of this part of the my class is actually as dictated by the state. This portion of the class is actually taught by a certified Idaho law enforcement instructor. So I'll have to make sure he understands this change. Because lots of bills come in and they get passed, and everyone's got to be updated on it. But I'm sure it'll change the way they teach it as well.
We wanted to mention Todd Eccles, of course, from Patriot Defense, joining us in studio and on the telephone this morning. Joining us from the Capitol in Boise is State Representative Christy Zito, and she has proposed a Castle Doctrine bill. The Castle Doctrine is, of course, the common term. I suppose in legalese, when it comes to running government, it's got some sort of different name, doesn't it?
Well, the name that it will be given is the Self-Defense Protection Act.
Okay, but it is Castle Doctrine, as most people understand that term, right?
Exactly, yes.
And now we were talking off air during the newscast about potential support, and it appears that in the beginning it was a little slow, but a lot of people are suddenly getting on board with this.
Well, we have 17 solid co-sponsors right now. We have a copy of the proposed legislation that each one gets to autograph, and we kind of make a little bit of a joke about it that someday that'll be worth money because it will have all these autographs on it. And I'll just joke back and say, as long as it's worth a vote.
Yeah.
So, and it's I guess there are 18 if I include myself, and the goal is to have 20 by the end of the day today.
How many total do you need?
Well, there's no set given number of how many, the way I understand it, of how many co-sponsors that you need to have. I just wanted as many as possible so that leadership and, those who make the decision whether the bill gets a hearing or not would see that there is good, solid support for the legislation and that there is good, solid support for the legislation outside of the walls of the Capitol.
Do you have any folks that we'd be aware of, perhaps on from Southern Idaho, who are on board with you on this? I mean, are you comfortable identifying them?
Well, I'm not going to name names over the phone or over the radio, but I have a lot of support from people in Southern Idaho in our district. Most of us live rural, and in my county and our sheriff's department and our law enforcement, I absolutely love them. I have so much respect for these people that put their lives on the line every day for us. The minute they step out the door, they could possibly be a target, and I so support them and I so appreciate them. But where I live, response time can be up to 20 minutes, sometimes longer, just because of the size of our counties and the reach and everything. And so the people in our district have been really supportive of this because when you're in that position that you need to defend your family or someone in your home or someone in your car, the last thing in the world that you are going to do is to stand there when you put your finger on that trigger and say, okay, am I going to be found guilty? Am I going to, end up in prison? What's going to happen here? You deserve the right to be able to defend your family. It's guaranteed to us by the Constitution, given to us by our Creator. And I've spoken with some of the police up here in Boise as well about it, and their first impression of the bill was that they are supportive of it as well, that they agree that people have the right to defend themselves.
Now, when we get to the end of session, if this bill has not yet been adopted, do you come back and try again? If support continues to grow.
Absolutely. I will continue to work on it over the summer, and we'll bring it back next year if it happens to not go through or get a hearing this year.
Todd, anything else?
I was going to say, you mentioned the response times, and some. I think it was Owyhee County, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know some people that live out in Three Creek, and the response time out there is crazy. So this would hit home for them. In fact, last year I did an active shooter class out there at the Three Creek school, which was pretty fun. The whole community came out. It was a pretty big deal actually for that little one room schoolhouse. But the response time out there is insane, and those people have to be able to take care of themselves.
Well, absolutely. And when you do take care of yourself, that presumption of innocence is huge.
Yep.
And it goes also into like protection orders. I've had several women call me this week. One woman was just in tears, and she said, I can't wait for this bill to pass. I have a protection order, but we all know that until violence is committed, even with a protection order, not really anything can be done. And so, it will give like single moms and people with protection orders and just everybody that little bit higher level of security and assurance that if they do need to use deadly force to defend themselves, that they won't be the target of an investigation. Yes, there will be an investigation, but the presumption of innocence will be on that mom or that dad that defended his 5 little kids in the middle of the night. And that's just an added level of comfort for the citizens of our state.
It'll save that one moment, that 1 or 2 seconds of hesitation, and that's a good thing, because that's a lot of time when you're defending your life.
It really is. It really is. That 1 or 2 seconds it's the time that it takes someone to get out of their truck and walk over to the door of your truck. And in that 1 or 2 seconds, when you reach over to the console of your pickup and pick up your .38 and hold it straight in the air with your finger by the trigger, that's what it takes. Seconds. We're not talking minutes. We're talking seconds. And Todd, I really appreciate your view on this and your support, and voicing these things, because it is important. So thank you.
No problem. If it feels good and I believe in it, I'll get behind it 100%.
Well, we want to thank you,
Perfect.
Representative.
Well, if you come to Boise, let's get together.
Okay, we'll do it.
Oh, that's a good invitation. There you go.
I'm going to have to go to Boise now.
Official advisor to State Representative Christy Zito. Representative,
There you go.
we want to thank you much for your time this morning. We know you have to get off to a meeting here shortly. Keep us posted on what happens.
Oh, I absolutely will. And, Bill, anytime you've got time and we can coordinate this for me to come on the radio and visit with this issue or any other issue, don't hesitate to let me know, because it's just so important that everyone out there, will know what goes on here, because, it's your legislature and we are your representatives. So anytime, it's my honor and pleasure.
Well, thank you, and have a good weekend.
You as well.
It's
Thank
good.
you both.
It's good to talk to you.
I want to thank Representative Christy Zito for a few minutes this morning, and she literally is running from this telephone call to a committee meeting. So yesterday we had that situation with Raul Labrador. He was trying to get to the telephone to call the program, and as he was trying to do that, a gaggle of reporters was with him in the hallway, like getting in his way to ask him questions about a particular bill. So,
he's like, "Get out of the way! I got a call to take."
Yes, we've got more coming up with Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. Bill Colley with you as well. We're talking firearms this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 8:20, and right now it's 34. Todd Eccles is in studio with us this morning on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. We're at 9:23, and I got to move something here on the computer screen. There we go, 34. Nothing's changed with the temperature. Bill Colley with you as well. We're talking firearms on Top Story today. If you've got a question or comment, feel free to give us a ring at 736-0300, 736-0300. And I believe we've got a caller joining us directly out of the break. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hello, Kelly. I'm sorry, Bill.
He's a pretty good guy, though, too, but I don't.
Yeah,
he's happy in retirement, trust me.
Yeah, Bill, this is Grant Lobes, and obviously I'm still a little under the weather, having had a cold for the last couple of days, so I called you by your predecessor's name. I'll beg for forgiveness on Tuesday.
Sure. What's on your mind?
Well, I was just listening to the discussion about the new bill that has been introduced on the Castle Doctrine, and well, I'm a very strong supporter of self-defense, and in fact, I think if you look at Idaho's statutes and Idaho's laws, we have one of the strongest self-defense statutes. And legal situations in the entire nation. I mean, you can defend yourself in your home, you can defend your property, you can defend others. You have no duty to retreat. You can actually use deadly force even when retreat is easier under Idaho law. The problem I have with this new bill is, number one, it eliminates your right to defend your property, which is in the current law. Number two, it has all kinds of problems in the presumption part. For instance, it allows you to use deadly force to defend yourself against somebody who either is entering your property, is on your property, or has unlawfully entered your property, which means somebody can break into your house, steal your TV. You can track them down 2 weeks later and shoot them under this bill. And I don't think anybody thinks that that is a good way to run things. It also, strangely, it allows you to defend yourself with deadly force against somebody coming into your house to kidnap somebody, like to kidnap your child. But it doesn't allow you to use deadly force if the person kidnapping your child is the grandfather of the child, which is kind of weird. So, grandparents and ex-wives and ex-husbands can kidnap your child by force and unlawfully from your house, and you can't do anything about it. So it's a very strange bill in many respects. The definitions of what a dwelling is, I mean, a tent is a dwelling, a porch is a dwelling. So if somebody walks onto your porch, you can shoot them under this statute. And it doesn't allow the police to even properly investigate a case where somebody shoots somebody in one of these situations, which is very strange. When you start getting into immunities and presumptions, you create all kinds of problems for law enforcement to find out what actually happened. So while I support, the goals of the people who drafted this, I think they should have looked at Idaho law as it is before they did so, because they're undoing a lot of protections that gun owners have to defend themselves, and they're including things that I don't think anybody thinks should be situations where people should use deadly force.
So you're saying this is a very layered bill when it comes to its language.
Yes, and I think it's fixing a problem that does not exist in Idaho. I mean, I think that what they did is take a bill that's going around the country that, in Florida and other places, and they said, well, that's a great idea. And rather than look at what Idaho already does, they just said, let's slap this on. And the problem is Idaho already does everything you'd want it to do according to the law. And this weakens Idaho's law as far as self-defense is concerned in some respects, and then it expands it in bizarre ways in other sections.
We'll have an opportunity, I would imagine, to delve into this a bit more Tuesday, because we're going to be talking some legal issues between 9 and 10 o'clock. I suspect you've gotten all the emails I've been floating your way.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And I just happened to hear that you were talking about this, and I know you had a couple guests, and I know that Representative Zito had to run. Otherwise, would have been nice to have her discuss this. But I will try to get in touch with her as well at the legislature. To my knowledge, no prosecutor or no attorney general has been asked to look at any of this language.
Okay. And it'd be interesting if we get the two of you together on the show sometime to have a wide open discussion on this.
Be happy to.
Oh, super. Thank you.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.
Take care. Prosecutor Grant Loeb's joining us by telephone this morning. So we got some reach out here with the program.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
This one's going to be up for a lot of debate apparently for a long time.
Okay, I'm going to probably say stuff that's going to just not make people happy with me, okay? And this is just the Todd coming out. This is what I try to restrain when I'm on the air. I don't know if this is a bad bill or not. I read into it what I read into it, okay? And I agree with a certain point of it. Obviously, I didn't dig as much as what Grant Loeb's talked about. I didn't dig into that. And he may very well be right. I'm not saying he's wrong or right. Before I even looked into any of this, and before I looked into any of this bill was brought up. Bill was created. A lot of this stuff was created by the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that brought this up. And sometimes I think they just try to find something to push to remain viable until they can find something more important to push. Does that make sense?
I saw their video on it the other day, and details was there a lengthy video they put together on it.
Yeah.
We will talk more about firearms issues coming up in the next half hour, and Todd's going to tell us a little bit about the upcoming class.
Yeah, we got a class on the 4th. The range is dry and mud-free now.
We've got more coming up. On Top Story, it's 9:30. It's 36. Our studio guest, Todd Eccles, is talking firearms with us as we do on Friday mornings on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story. Patriot Defense, contact information.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, just like always, under Patriot Defense. I'm on there. Go ahead and find the page, like the page. It'll keep you updated of all the classes. You can also see when I participate in flood cleanup. You'll see when I buy a new gun. You'll see all the comings and goings of Patriot Defense. You can even call me or text message me at area code 620-794-6223. My next class is on March 4th. You can get a hold of me, and we can get you signed up for that if you want, for the Enhanced Concealed Carry class.
We'll be giving these details out again before the end of the half hour. You also wanted to mention as well, we were talking about this during the break, the Second Amendment Alliance does do some very good work.
Yes, they do, and my big mouth sometimes will get me into trouble. They do some very, very, very good work. I do sometimes think that there's some bigger things that they could chase, and maybe this year isn't the year for that. Maybe they've got something in the works. I don't know. I think sometimes they try to fix some things that might not be broken, just so they can stay viable, so they can stay fresh in people's minds, so they can remain relevant until those big issues come up. And I'm not knocking the Second Amendment Alliance. They do some great work. They brought us constitutional carry, and that's turned out fantastic. So, if you haven't sent me a message on Facebook berating me for what I just said a little while ago, you can just don't worry about it. I'm sure it'll light up soon enough.
We have another caller with us. Caller, you're up next at 9:35. You're on KLIX.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. I don't know if I was asleep, dreaming, or somebody hit me alongside the head, but didn't somebody say something about they want to pass a law to make it possible to take everybody's gun away that was taking Social Security?
Actually, I understand the Republican Congress has pretty much put an end to that.
Yeah, they put an end to that. Yeah,
I hope so. I'll tell you what, there's more over 65-year-olds that are more attuned to what's going on than any of the younger people.
I'm not sure if it was necessarily, if you read the article, I'm not sure if it was necessarily just being on Social Security, but it was the people that had someone manage their finances for them. They would deem them unworthy and mentally incapable of having a firearm. But anyhow, they've done away with that. They voted that down. So I don't think
that's great news.
Yep, it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Gentlemen, have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Well, as I understand it, it didn't take long for people in the new Congress to just say enough.
Yeah.
And they brought that because we had a case
in Idaho.
In Idaho with a Navy veteran, and that situation arose, and the sheriff would not allow anyone to come in.
People showed up and stood out in front of his property, they wouldn't let anybody even go in there.
I saw, speaking of what's going on the national level, this came from a Washington Free Beacon out of the nation's capital. A headline was, NBC News incorrectly says criminals can legally manufacture their own guns. I don't think anybody can manufacture their own, can they? Unless you're a gunsmith working out of a shop.
Yeah, no, you're not legally. You can, if you get to the rifles and then you buy an 80% lower and you do it correctly and you do it yourself, you can actually finish off an 80% lower for an AR-15, put the rest of it together, not have a serial number as long as it stays, I believe, in the state of Idaho and you don't sell it. That's about one of the only ways, and I don't want to get into the ins and outs of that because that's some stuff that gets real sketchy.
A fellow by the name of, last name Barlow, he's an FBI agent, or rather no, ATF agent, Graham Barlow. He was a little ticked off after the NBC story. He said, "We are not claiming it as legal. I was pointing out how prohibited individuals are skirting the background check because they won't pass them." Which is obvious, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Everything is.
That's why they're criminals.
Yep.
We wanted to point out telephone number again, 736-0300. Got a couple of minutes before the next break. When you mentioned training courses, and obviously this is make good for the bad weather we had previously, and then you'll have one coming up in March as well.
Yeah, I got one on March 4th. That's the next one, and I've already got everyone that I had to reschedule signed up for that one again. But I still got plenty of room. We can get more people into that one, and then I might be having another one on the 25th. I'm not sure exactly if that's going to be enhanced class or what that's going to be. I'm still trying to get the logistics worked out. I got some other classes I need to do as well. So right now we'll just concentrate on the March 4th class. If you need in that one for the enhanced concealed carry permit, let me know. We will get it taken care of. I would like to have the classroom portion at my house, and then I'd like to go and use the Buell gun range to do the shooting portion. It depends on the weather. I need my driveway to dry out. It keeps raining on it. So I need the wind to blow like 60 miles an hour and dry it out and finish melting the snow, and we'll be good to go, Bill.
I was going to say, by the time we get to spring, things should look a little bit better.
Oh my gosh, I've never thought I'd have this much trouble. I've been sending out so many text messages, making so many phone calls, and rearranging everyone's schedules. And I appreciate everyone being patient with me. I'm not Mother Nature. I don't control the weather.
People are very much, though, interested in this course.
They are. I get lots and lots of calls about it. I get lots of people signed up. I mean, I just did a big class last month. It was a whole oh, well, if you're on Facebook, you can find out who it was. I won't mention it on the radio, but it was a whole big company, a whole big business. It was like 40, I think like 42, 43 of their employees. It was fantastic. And I have big classes, 20 to 30 people sometimes.
We're going to talk in the next segment, too, about Todd's new show
Huh.
coming up. And he'll be available not just on Friday mornings on the radio, but and people can watch you, and you'll have a whole archive.
Watch and listen and learn how to be tech savvy with iTunes like I did.
All right, we've got more coming up. Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story. It's 9:40 and 36. Our studio guest joins us most Friday mornings. Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. As he mentioned, in Buell, Idaho, which what I know about Buell is on 4th of July, there's a massive parade. There's a great ice cream stand and a really good pizza shop. And Benito tells me a great Mexican restaurant as well. But it is if you're looking for Idaho, to define Idaho, that's really
Well,
it.
Buell's far enough away from Twin, it's its own community. I mean, Filer's a community, yeah, but I
Bedroom
mean,
community.
yeah, but then you got Buell. I mean, they're self-sustaining there. You don't have to leave Buell to go get what you need,
Yeah, go
unless
right
you want
down
to
to
go
the
to
grocery
Lowe's
store.
but they do have hardware stores and stuff there as well. So it's you don't have to leave Buell, and I like it because you know what? When I'm not working, when I'm not teaching a class, I'm not here. I don't like leaving my house.
Might be, though, the longest 25-mile-per-hour zone in Idaho.
Yeah, you got to learn to avoid it.
Maybe Boise, but
They know to keep an eye out for the Blue Scout. They pulled me over the other day, so
just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some gun issues.
my speedometer was off.
That has happened to me, though, when I had some oversized tires years ago.
You know, me too. That's the reason. But I found out why I'm getting bad fuel mileage. When I think I'm doing 60, I'm doing like 78.
Yeah,
So
that
that
could get you
would,
pulled over, too.
yeah.
Todd Eccles in studio with us on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley with you as well. Telephone number to reach our program today, 736-0300, 736-0300. And again, for people who'd like to take a course through Patriot Defense, or even as some of them have done in the past, give a gift to a family member, what would they do?
Just got to call me and talk to me. Send me a message on Facebook and talk to me. You can call or text me at area code 620-794-6223. You call me, we find out what you need. If you want a certificate, we make that arrangement. I go home, I print one off. I meet you somewhere later on, and you pay me for it. I give you the certificate. It's that easy. We've even done it in the mail, but that takes trust on both ends. Okay, we can just get it figured out. I'm really flexible. Make arrangements, with me to meet you somewhere. If you want to take a class, just call and ask questions about a class. Even that's fine. I answer questions all day long. That's what I live to do. I want to help people. I'll answer your questions. Hopefully, we can get you into a class. It's that easy. I mean, just do it all via text message. If you don't want to call me, text me. I'll answer all your questions. And then you'll say, well, I want to sign up for a class. How do I do that? And I say, what class? You tell me what class. I send you all the info you need, put your name on a list, and I see you there. It's that easy.
And essentially, most of these just require a commitment of a Saturday.
Yep, a Saturday. For this class, for the enhanced course class, it's state required 8 hours. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're done by no later than 5, unless it's a great big giant class, which I'm actually getting pretty good. I bring in a lot of help, and we can get through a decent sized class by 5 o'clock, no problem.
And generally, there's half of it's class time, and then half of it's actually range time.
Yep, the first half is classroom time, and I speak to you on stuff like situational awareness, gun safety, gun handling, basic shooting, stances and procedures. And then the law enforcement guy comes in. He's got to be a certified Idaho law enforcement officer of intermediate post certification or higher. And he comes in and he teaches you for probably 2.5, 3 hours. And he talks about Idaho lethal force laws. He's pretty much the meat of the class. And what's really cool is he talks to you about that and he'll answer all your questions. If you think they're silly and you don't want to ask him, just ask him. He's heard them before. He will answer and we'll correct you. We'll set everyone on the straight and narrow. And then we go to lunch. And then after lunch, we come back and we shoot. You'll need a handgun, 100 rounds, eye protection, ear protection. It's cold outside. You need a sweatshirt. We do shoot inside, but it is an old building, as noticed by it filling full of water a couple weeks ago. But it works, and we have a good time doing it. So, and you pay at the end of class. You don't have to worry about getting a hold of me for payment. It's $100 a person for the full 8 hours. We do it all in one day. And at the end of the day, when you get done shooting, my wife will be there because I'm not allowed to touch the money. My wife will be there. She'll give you your paperwork that I've already signed, and you give her the money, and you leave. It's that easy.
Now, we wanted to point out for people who like to, one thing that I love about the internet is if you want a specific subject, broadcasting means, it's an old farming term about broadcasting seeds.
hmm
And narrowcasting, on the other hand, is much more if you've got a specific interest. This is why, a lot of these YouTube channels and other internet video channels and the like and podcasts have become very popular. We've talked about some of them here related to firearms. I mean, you can find some incredibly educational
Oh yeah,
material. I mean, if you're looking at a specific, for recommendations on firearms,
sure.
or if you're looking for training issues,
hmm
or all of these things are available. We're going to have someone new in the game here in Southern Idaho very shortly.
Yes, I have decided to jump into the world of podcasting. So it's taken me a little while. I had to gather up the equipment and I had to learn how to do it. I'm no stranger to a microphone, but I had to learn all the technical jargon and how to get someone to host my bandwidth and then how to get it out on all these different podcast sites, these sources. So it took me about 2 weeks and I got iTunes figured out. Well, I didn't get iTunes figured out. I was hollering and yelling at my computer, and my wife came over and fixed something that in 30 minutes, 20 minutes that I couldn't get figured out in 2 weeks. But I'm on iTunes now. iTunes approved me, and hopefully this weekend I will get enough time. I can sit down and I can put out a podcast. I'll probably start off just telling a little bit about myself, and what I do and what I believe in as far as guns, Second Amendment, what I like to train. And then I've already kind of slowly starting to set up some interviews with people, some different gun stores, some new and up and coming gun stores in the area. I was fortunate enough to attend a Smith and Wesson Armors class yesterday with the gentleman over at D&B Supply in the gun department, and they invited me, which was I thank you guys, I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun. Um, I got to take apart other people's guns and then put them back together and see if they worked. That was fantastic because it wasn't mine. Mm,
That
Which,
is one area, though, that think about that. And in some of these videos, that's what the guys are doing. They're just simply telling you how to take apart firearms, put them
yeah,
back together. You should practice that. I mean, that should be something people
that
know how to do.
you need to know how to field strip it and clean it. But it's really nice to be able to actually do like more of a detail type strip and clean and take apart once a year, just to make sure that thing's functioning well. But I was talking to them. They invited me. We did that. I talked to them. I'm probably going to get them on as an interview sometime. I don't know when, but they're very knowledgeable about guns. They really like handguns, which makes me happy. And we'll sit down and chat with them. And there's a holster maker in town. I haven't contacted him, so if he's listening, he knows now. But I'm going to try to get a hold of him and talk to him, interview some people, and it'll just be kind of a fun show. And I look forward to people, emailing me, telling me what they want to hear. Send me a text at that number, that 620-794-6223. I can put something together and put it on the air. I like talking to people, so
Now, there's going to be an actual web address that is affiliated with this.
there is. And right now it's gonna, and I'll get all that. I'm not that prepared. Right now it's gonna. I got it going out on YouTube, just not a video, but on YouTube, just kind of an audio file. You listen to it kind of like you do this show. I've got it out on SoundCloud, and I've got it out on iTunes, and I want to get it out on a few more places, but I have to have like 3 or 4 episodes before they'll even consider me viable. And as I get those, I will let you know. I will get all that information. When I get it all, I will post it on Facebook. I'll talk about it on this show. I'll put it on my webpage. I'm probably going to put links to like YouTube on my webpage, and even on Facebook as well. And we can grab those. I don't know how often I plan on doing. I'd like to do one a week. But I've got a day job, I've got this job, this business, I've got 5 kids. We'll see if I can find some alone time I can hide in my wife's walk-in closet and get this thing taken care of.
We got about 10 minutes until 10 o'clock. And if you've got a comment or question, Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense in studio with us with Bill Colley on News Radio 1310 KLIX and News Radio 1310.com. We're at 36. You referenced E&B Supply. Now, the one thing that they have a large, obviously, assortment of firearms,
Yes.
and they have a lot of stores.
Yes.
When we think about various, the United States has a common culture, but then we have a lot of subcultures. And in some parts of the country, you can go into a lot of communities, and there aren't many places to shop for firearms. We have in the Magic Valley an incredible array of large shops, and we have small shops. But in all of these cases, you've got people. It's the culture. They know what they're talking about in the sense that they grew up hunting, or that they grew up at least proficient in the use of firearms. So you're not lacking for options or places to go.
Oh no, they're everywhere. I mean, and the people, the guy that work in these stores, the guys that work in these stores aren't just there to get a paycheck and leave. They've shot these guns, they've shot these rifles, they've gone out and shot rock chucks. Which, by the way, rock chucks are out. I saw them the other day. So get ready, okay? It's coming. Varmint season is almost here, but no, they're very knowledgeable. They go out and they shoot on the weekends. So they can tell you what they like. They've handled these weapons before. It's not like going into maybe some of these bigger stores, bigger box stores, which not the ones in this area necessarily, but some different areas in bigger cities. And you go in there and they don't even know how to lock the slide back on the handgun that they're going to show you. These people, these guys, they know how to take care of them. They know how they work. They can show you everything, answer questions, and if they don't, get a hold of me, and I'll go in and I'll tell them everything they need to tell you.
And I was talking with a fellow at one of these shops one day, one of our local stores, and he was telling me, he said, when you do go to train, he said, there are some basics you should already know in advance because he said they won't think you're a dingaling then when it comes to how you actually handle the firearm.
Yes and no. I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere. It's nice if you know basic safety, and you can learn basic safety. You can look it up on the internet. I'm sure you have a buddy that shoots that can tell you. Keep your finger off the trigger. It's nice to know, how to rack the slide, how to work the safety if it's got one, and these basics. But the truth of the matter is that's why I'm here too. I've had people show up to class. They've gone out and they bought a gun. Say, I bought this gun 2 months ago. I haven't touched it. I don't know how to shoot it, but I want to get my permit, and I want to get this permit because it involves having to shoot. And I say, bring your gun. Come on down. Let's take care of it. We go out to shoot. I go down the line before anyone shoots. Make sure everyone knows how their gun works. And if you're new enough that you're nervous, take the classroom portion. Go to lunch. Take a long lunch. Everyone else will shoot. You come back when they're done, and then I'll stay there extra and we'll work with you. I'll show you everything from A to Z about your handgun. Everything. We'll take it out of the box. I'll show you how to take it apart. I'll show you how to load the magazine correctly, how to insert. I'll show you what all the buttons do and how to make that gun work and how to use the sights. I mean, I ask in my class, hey, does everyone know how to use sights on a handgun? And I'll get 2 or 3 people every class that raise their hands and go, no, I don't. And that's fine. When we get up to shoot, I work with them. I have extra people there on the line to help me do that so we can focus on everyone, but there's enough of us around to go around to help each individual person as well. Um, I don't care if you've never shot. Come. If you don't have a gun, let me know. You can use one of mine as long as you provide the ammunition. Just come and learn. I'd rather have you come and not shot because you have no bad habits. And I can train you up right. I can teach you everything you need to know so that you're comfortable taking that out and shooting it.
When you mentioned racking the slide, uh, depending on how you do this, it can be easy, but you can make it more complex. And if you start making it more complex, that's where accidents can happen.
Yeah, and there's a certain way to do it, and some people are stronger than others. And some of these little guns got pretty good stout recoil springs in them. And you need to know how to do it correctly, where to position your hand, not reach over the end of the barrel and try to rack the slide. You need to know how to, hold it against yourself if you have trouble racking it, not point it at your neighbor. Always be aware of where the muzzle's pointing. All that stuff. There's safe ways to do it, and I've seen experienced people shoot that have been shooting for years come in and do it the wrong way. So I correct them, but just come on in. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy. Don't be intimidated. I don't intimidate anyone. You can ask anyone that's taken my class, and if they tell you that I've intimidated them, they didn't come see me because I don't intimidate anyone. I make everyone feel right at home, and we can safely figure out how to run your gun. I do want to throw this out there. I did get a text from a Steve in Filer, and I think he's probably being funny. I will contact you about a class here in just a little bit, but he says, "Hey Todd, nice Bronco." That's not a Bronco. That is a Scout, and I'm assuming with the exclamation point, that's a funny thing that people tell Scout owners. It's a Scout. Don't call it a Bronco again, or I'm going to charge you double.
One is international, the other is Ford.
That's right, and they're different. Scouts are better.
Yeah. As a Jeep guy, I take offense.
Oh, heap. You drive a heap.
Yes. We wanted to point out again, Patriot Defense. You can easily be contacted.
Yep, you can call me or text me at area code 620-794-6223. You can find me on Facebook underneath Patriot Defense. I probably put up 2 or 3 posts a day. If you find the page, like it. I like to see my like numbers go up. And as you view the page, I will post upcoming classes. I will answer questions. You can message me there. One thing I want you to do is if you're on there and you see a post you like, maybe I said something or posted a cool picture, like it, like that picture, or put a little comment because that'll keep it viable in your Facebook feed.
Did you, by the way, maybe a closing note, there was a photograph making the rounds on Valentine's Day, and it comes in a gun case, but it's a chocolate 1911.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I at first it looked so realistic. I thought, well, that's an odd color, and then I looked at the photograph that was making its way around on Valentine's Day, and it's a chocolate gun. You eat it, but it's for people who like firearms, it's considered to be a nice gift.
You know, it's a 1911 though. Could it taste that good?
Yeah, it's rather plain.
It's rather plain, and there's probably not much to it. If I'm going to get a chocolate handgun, I want a nice double stack. I want that sucker like 2 pounds.
Yeah, didn't say if it was hollow.
No, it might be.
In this day and age, most of the time when you buy chocolate any longer for holidays, it's
it might be. That would have been a good gift. I probably wouldn't have eaten it, but I probably would have kept it in the freezer. I would have kept it in the freezer next to my other gun that's in the freezer. According to your friend, that's where we keep them, right?
He's got them in the freezer, the refrigerator. He's got them in unusual places all over his house.
I got to buy more guns because I got a lot of hiding spots at my house.
He's got about 30 of those in his home. And he sent me a text today and said, "You cross my threshold, you better be careful."
That's your threat, man. You come uninvited across the threshold, your threat. That's the way I see it.
We have to take a short break for news, and then Rush Limbaugh's program coming up in just a moment, and that'll be followed this afternoon by Sean Hannity at 1 o'clock. Also coming up after 4 o'clock, Glenn Beck. And keep in mind, we will be able to see many of us at the Home and Garden Show out at the college of our campus of Southern Idaho, CSI, either way you look at it, this weekend. I'll be there tonight, and I'll be spending some time there tomorrow as well. God willing, if the creek don't rise, I'll be back on Monday between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning right here on Top Story. I want to thank Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense as well.